Good morning, boys and girls. We are on lesson 7-12, and we are going to be talking about decimal number stories. Today's learning goal is practice converting between fractions and decimals to solve number stories. I thought it would be good to start off with a little reminder of how decimals and fractions and words relate to money. So when we're talking about dollars, dimes, and pennies. I'm going to do the first one for us, and then I'm going to have you pause the video and try to complete the next 3 rows on your piece of paper that you have out. If you don't have a piece of paper out now or a math journal, go ahead and get that out now so you're ready to work. All right, so the first one, I see that the number name is 4/10. Well, when we think of money, okay, I know that there are 10 dimes in a dollar because 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 gives me 100 cents. So the fraction, well, I know 4/10 looks like this. And I know the decimal for 4/10 is going to be 0.4, like that. Now, how do we write that for money? What does that look like? Well, you would need 4 dimes to make this number sentence true. So 4/10 is the same thing as 4 dimes. You could also technically say 40 cents or 40 pennies, but in order for that to make sense, the number name would have to be 40 hundredths. So let's go down here to the second one. Go ahead and pause the video and try to write the fraction and decimal for 36 hundredths, or 3 dimes and 6 pennies. Okay, hopefully you wrote the fraction 36 100ths, and hopefully you wrote the decimal 0.36. Go ahead and pause the video and try the next 2 problems. Okay, hopefully you wrote for the decimal of 7 100ths 0.07. Very important that that extra 0 is there. The number name would be 7 hundredths, and this would be not 7 dimes, it would be 7 pennies, because it's 7 out of 100. And finally, the next one is over a whole dollar. In fact, it's $4. So the decimal or the fraction would look like 4 and 52 hundredths. The number name, 4 and 52 hundredths, and a sample answer of what you could have done would have been $4, 5 dimes, and 2 pennies. So that was just a little warm up for today's lesson. For our mental math fluency, I'm going to have you write down an equivalent, which means equal, decimal for each fraction. Pause the video and try these 3 on your own, and then play the video when you're ready. Okay, hopefully for the first one, you wrote the decimal 0.36 for 36 hundredths. Hopefully for the second one, you wrote 0.87. And hopefully for the third one, you wrote 0.19. We're going to go to the second level. Go ahead and write an equivalent decimal for each of these fractions. Go ahead and pause the video and play it when you're ready. Okay, for the first one, you should have written 0.3. Now, if you wrote 0.30, you're also technically correct, because 0.30 is 31 hundredths, which is equal to 3/10. Now, for 1/2, this is something that some of you might have had some trouble with. To get 1/2 to a denominator of 10 or 100, you need to multiply the top and the bottom. So if you multiply the top and the bottom by 5, you will get 5/10, which is written as 0.5. 4/5. As we did for number 2 here, 4/5 needs to get to a denominator by 10. So if we multiply 5 times 2, and 4 times 2, we will get 8/10. Now we can write it as a decimal of 0.8. That was a little bit more difficult, but knowing that you need to get your denominator to 10 or 100 to be able to write it as a decimal. We are now ready for the third level. Go ahead and try these. These are a little bit more difficult, but I want to see how you do. Remember, the goal is to get the denominator to 10 or 100. Go ahead and pause the video, practice with your equivalent fractions, and then writing them as a decimal. Okay, now you're back. Hopefully you recognize that 20 was already above 10, so hopefully you got 20 to 100. And if you multiply 20 times 5, you'll get 100 as a denominator, which means we have to do the same to the top. 7 times 5 is 35. So 35 100ths would be written like this. 3 25ths. Well, I know 4 quarters are in a dollar, so 25 cents 4 times. So that means 25 times 4 is going to get me 100, and 4 times 3 is going to get me 12. Which means 12 100ths, and hopefully you wrote the decimal 0.12. Now, I can see this one already is above a whole, because 14 is bigger than 2. I can still make it equal to 10 on the bottom by multiplying by 5. When I multiply by 5, I get 10 on the bottom, and when I multiply by 5 on the top, I get 70. So that would be 70 over 10, which is 7 wholes. Okay, boys and girls, we are now ready for our math message, which we touched on briefly previously. So we know that we're talking about $1. What fraction of a dollar is 1 dime? So I want you to think about how many dimes are in a dollar, which I mentioned earlier. Then write down what you think the fraction would look like for 1 dime out of a dollar. Hopefully you wrote 1/10, and that's because there's 10 dimes in a dollar, so 1 out of 10 dimes would be 1/10. Now think of a penny. Think about how many pennies there are in $1. Hopefully you said 100. So what would your fraction look like for 1 penny? 1/100th. Now, using what we know, what fraction of a dollar is 7 dimes and 8 pennies? Go ahead and write your answer as a fraction and a decimal. Pause the video. Okay, first you needed to know that 7 dimes and 8 pennies equals 78 cents. Now I need to think about, well, 78 cents out of $1. That's going to be 78 100ths, which should be written like this. I know my fraction would be 78 out of 100, or 0.78. For these next few problems, I'm going to ask that you just watch Mr. Brewer until we get to our math journal page. You're going to notice that there is some work and multiplying involved, and I'm going to allow you to use a calculator as well to help you with this. You still are going to have to show your work, but the calculator will come in handy for this activity. So I'm going to go ahead and read the problem and then show you how I got the answer. So we're going to use this poster board up here that talks about what the cost is of all of the items. And notice for each item, if you buy 5 or more, you get a sale price. So, for example, instead of buying 1 4-pack of light bulbs for $1.09, if you buy 5 4-packs of light bulbs, you only pay 88 cents per pack. So you're actually saving money if you buy 5 or more. So keep that in mind for these problems. It says, what is the cost of a ballpoint pen? Okay, so I'm going to go and find a ballpoint pen, which is right here. Hopefully you are looking at this and can see that a ballpoint pen is worth 39 cents. Now it says, what fraction of a dollar is that? Well, if you can read the decimal, it looks like the decimal is 39 hundredths, or 39 cents out of a dollar. So it would look like this. Now, what is the cost of a pen if you buy 5 or more? So looking at the same ballpoint pen, but this time looking right here. Instead of paying 39 cents, we would pay 27 cents if we bought 5 or more. So it would look like this. What is the fraction of a dollar? Well, it would look like 27 hundredths. Now, how much do you save per pen by buying pens in bulk? Well, we're going to simply take 39 cents and subtract it by 27 cents. And when we do that, we get 12 cents per pen. So actually, you're saving 12 cents per pen if you buy 5 or more. What fraction of a dollar is that? Hopefully you're catching on and knowing that that's 12 hundredths, or 0.12. What is the total cost of a roll of transparent tape and a pad of construction paper? So here we need to go ahead and look at our poster board and find that a roll of transparent tape, which is right here, cost 84 cents. And a pad of construction paper cost, looking for it right now, 67 cents. So since it says total cost of both of them, we're going to add them together. Now you can either use your calculator or you could write it down and line up the decimal points very carefully. Make sure when you use your calculator, you put the decimal point in where it is on the poster board. So when I add them together, I get $1.51. What fraction of a dollar is that? Well, since it's one whole, it's over a dollar, it would look like this. 1 and 51 hundredths. Okay, now we're moving up to how much change would you receive if you bought 5 bars of soap at the stock-up sale price and paid with a $5 bill? All right, this one's going to involve a few steps, so I want you to very carefully hear me out through this process, and then I'm going to show you my work and how I did it. So I first need to understand the problem. I'm looking for how much change I would receive using a $5 bill if I bought 5 bars of soap. Now, I have to remember, I'm now getting the sale price, so I'm paying 65 cents for each bar of soap. Now, I'm going to talk you through what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you my work. I first have to figure out how much I need to pay. So I'm going to take 5 times 65 cents. Now, that's kind of difficult to do. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to set it up. After I do that, I'm then going to have to subtract how much that cost from $5 that I'm paying with. So let me show you my work. Okay, boys and girls, so I know that each bar of soap costs 65 cents. Now, in order to solve this, you can see here I've taken 5, because I'm buying 5 of them, times 65 cents, but I put that into a fraction because 65 cents is the same thing as 65 100ths. Now, to make this easier, I did use a calculator and I multiplied 5 times 65, which equals 325. Remember that I keep my denominator the same, so now I'm equal to 325 100ths, which I know is bigger than 1 whole. Now, down here, I know that 325 100ths is the same thing as 3 wholes, because 100 100ths plus 100 100ths plus 100 100ths is the same thing as 3 wholes, and there would be 25 hundredths left over. That means that the total cost that I'm paying for the bars of soap is $3.25. Now, remember it said if I pay with a $5 bill, how much change would I receive? So down here, I took $5, notice how I put my decimal, minus $3.25. Now to do this, you can do it on your calculator, or you can do it this way and making sure that you are borrowing and borrowing correctly. When you're finished, you'll get $1.75. Okay, boys and girls, I would like for you to get your journal page out and turn to page 200. Okay, boys and girls, we are going to do number 1 together. And then I'm going to have you pause the video and do number 2, 3, and 4 on your own. What I can tell you most is there are a couple things you need to keep in mind. You are going to need to use this as a guide. So when you do the video, it's going to be important that either A, you take a picture of this screen on a different device so that you can do your math journal page, or you keep going back and forth. I think it would be easiest if you took a picture of this so that you can use this to help you with the journal page. Now, another thing that's going to be important is you're paying attention to the quantity. How much are they buying? Because remember, if they buy 5 or more, they're using a different discounted price. So that's going to be very important. So we'll do number 1 together, all right? So number 1 says, Jeff bought 5 toothbrushes and 1 tube of toothpaste. What was the total cost? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my screen here. 5 toothbrushes. Well, I see that the total cost is $1.13 because remember, he's buying 5 or more. So I'm going to have to multiply 5 times $1.13. I also need to look at what was the total cost of 1 tube of toothpaste. Well, a tube of toothpaste here, remember we're only buying 1, is $1.39. So I don't have to use multiplication because I'm only having to buy 1. Now, I can set my problem up like this. Now, the answer is going to come up, but more importantly, we're going to talk about how we did it. So how did we get $7.04? Now, there's multiple ways you could do this, but the one way to do this is to take 5 times $1.13. Now, for us, it's going to be easy for us to put this in a fraction form. So $1.13 is the same thing as 1 1300ths. And remember, when we multiply mixed numbers, we multiply the 5 times the whole number and then the 5 times the fraction. When you do that, which is done right here for you, you get 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 13/100ths is 65/100ths. So that means that 5 times $1.13 equals 5 65/100ths. Now, I would have even written this as dollar form because to me it's easier to add dollar forms than just fractions. So 5 65/100ths, remember, is the same thing as $5.65. So if you wrote that, that's a good way to write this problem. I then need to add $1.39. Now, they did it in fraction form, but I think it would be a lot easier if you just wrote $5.65 plus $1.39. Because then you skip all of this right here, which they did, and they're not wrong, but it's a lot more involved. If we just do $5.65 plus $1.39, either on our calculator or on our paper, you would get $7.04. Now, please remember, if you're using a calculator, I still want you to write down your work so you and your teacher can go over what you did wrong or what you did right. So right now, what I'd like you to do is to pause the video and try number 2, 3, and 4. When you're ready, come back, check your answers, and then we'll move on to math boxes. Okay, hopefully you were able to try number 2, 3, and 4. So number 2 says Mr. De La Garza pays for 8 boxes of tissues with a $5 bill. How much change does she get, or does he get? So I already know that I'm going to use the discounted price for tissues, and I'm going to be subtracting at the end because we're looking for how much change. So I'm going to go look at the number or the price for the tissues. The price for the tissues is 57 cents per box. Now we're buying 8 of them. Now, if it was me, I would do 57 hundredths times 8. Now, they used words, which is the same thing as using numbers. You would end up getting 456 hundredths. Now, we need to take 500 hundredths, or if it were me, I would just do, like I said before for the top one, $5 minus, well, I know that 456 hundredths is the same thing as $4.56. So I would take $5 minus $4.56, and I would get 44 cents. So again, they are using fractions the whole way through. I think easier is if you put them in money form. So with the dollar symbol and the decimal. Okay, number 3. Looking at number 3, it says how much more, oh, that means subtraction, do 5 pairs of shoelaces cost than 3 pairs of shoelaces? Okay, so going back to shoelaces, if we buy 5 shoelaces or pairs, it would be $1.08 each. If we buy 3, it would be $1.27 each. So again, we need to take 5 times $1.08, which they did here. $1.08 is the same thing as 1 and 8/100ths, and you would get 5 and 40/100ths, which I would write as $5.40. They did not, but remember, that's a little easier than keeping it as a mixed number. Next, they looked at 3 times $1.27 because it was $1.27 each, and they got 3 and 81/100ths, which again, I would write as $3.81 because this bottom part looks a lot complicated. So all we need to do is take $5.40 minus $3.81. And when we do that, we would get $1.59. Number 4. How much more, again, subtraction, does it cost to buy 5 rolls of wrapping paper than 2 rolls of wrapping paper? So going back, looking at wrapping paper cost $1.86 per roll if you buy 5 or more, and $2.35 if you buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 rolls. So that means that we need to multiply 5 rolls times the discounted price and 2 rolls times the regular price. So when you do that, 5 times $1.86, which is 1 and 86/100ths, we end up getting 930/100ths, which I would write as $9.30. Next, they did 2 times $2.35, which got them $4.70. Now, when we subtract, I would write $9.30 minus $4.70, and you would get a total of $4.60. Okay, we are now ready to go to math boxes. I'm going to ask that you pause the video, do the math boxes, and then come back and check your work. Okay, for number 1, number model could have been 96 divided by 3 minus 125 divided by 5 equals X. The answer that you would get would be 7 crates. Number 2, circle all of the correct answers. So A and C are the correct answers. Number 3, A is 65 and B is 234. There were no remainders. Number 4, going back to multiplication, is 34,374. Hopefully you showed your work. And B is 5,238. Explain how you solved problem 3B. So hopefully you talked about partial quotients and talked about how you made your line and tried to get close to 702 each time. Maybe you multiplied 3 times 200, and that left you with 600, and you would subtract that from 702. So go ahead and read that explanation and see how close it was to yours. Okay. We are going to go ahead and get to the homework. You have, let me move my screen down. Whoops. You have, it's not liking this. There we go. Oh no, I'm still here. Don't worry. Okay, let me get to the homework real fast. Homework for tonight is 2 problems at the top, and then a try this problem, which I think all of you will be able to do. And then at the bottom, you have 4 problems that are going to be greater than, less than, or equal. Go ahead and post it to Seesaw when you're finished, and I hope you have a wonderful Thursday.